Hello, grade 10. Here's Miss Borby. I'm going to be talking to you today about finding the mean and median with your calculator, and also we're going to be talking about finding box plots using your calculator. So let's get going. If we take a look at this first question, says find the mean and the median for this data set. And if you look at it, you see that you have two columns of data. You have your score and your frequency. And let's just start first by putting this into our calculator. So we need to put it in the calculator in our list. So we're going to go to Stat and Edit and enter your data into two lists. If you look at this, I've already got it in just to make it faster. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then 3, 1, 3, 2, 1. So if you do not have it, you probably won't have it in your calculator, but you should take out your calculator now, stop this video, and put the data in so that you can follow along. So once it's in your calculator, you want to do everything through this Stat button because that's what gives you the calculations or the testing. So we go to Calculate, and then you look and you say, oh, we have two choices here. Actually, we have lots of choices, but we want to look at either one variable statistics or two variable statistics. And in this case, do we have one or two variables? Well, let's look at this. We have score right here and frequency. So if you were to write this out, you would say that you had 11 3 times. And then you would write 12, and then you would write 13 3 times, and so on and so on and so on. And so you know that you could, if you wanted to find the mean or the median of this data set, and all the frequency is it's just telling you how many times the score should be counted. So in essence, we only have one variable statistics. That's a big mistake that many students make, is to think that because you have two columns, you have two variables. No, this is really only one variable. Two variables would be, for example, if you had height and weight or something, two totally different things and not a frequency column. So we're going to go back to our calculator now. We're going to go into one variable statistics, and you have to tell your calculator what to do. It can't read your mind. It doesn't know what to do unless you tell it. So the list we're looking at is in L1. The frequency list we've put in L2. And if L2 is not showing, you see right here in blue, it's L2. So you do second L2, and L2 is now in as your frequency list, and we pressed calculate. So what comes up here? A lot of different information, or not different information, but a lot of information, and we were asked to find the mean. So if we look at this right now, the mean, we know that the mean is the same as X bar, and if we go over to our calculator, we can see that the X bar in this case is equal to 12.7. Now, if you look here, you've got, this is the sum of all the x's, this is the standard deviation, but you also have this arrow going down with n equals 10. This is another thing to check to make sure that you've got both columns in, because this means you're counting 10 pieces of data. And if it were not counting your frequency column and it was only counting this column, you would only have 5 pieces of data. But if you add up all these numbers, you get 10. So that's an extra check that you can do to make sure that you've got your frequency being counted. So let's take a look at this. What is all this information? We have the minimum value of X, which is 11. We have Q1, which also turns out to be 11. We have the median, which is also Q2, Q3, and maximum. This right here is called your 5-point summary. But let's answer this question first. We now know that the median is equal to 13. You can see it right here where it says median equal to 13. So what do we do with this 5-point summary? Let's take then a look at a box and whisker plot. So you've done these before and you did them by hand. Today we're going to be talking about how do we get them into the calculator. But first let's quickly go through this 5-point summary. This is a box and whisker plot, and you have right here, it's always to scale on the bottom, and you look right here. This would be your minimum value. Your maximum value is right here. Then you have your Q1, Q2, and Q3, and this is all in a box, okay? So these are your upper whiskers and your lower whiskers. And when you're looking at this, what you use this box and whisker plot for is to show the spread of the data. So actually, each one of these quarters is 25% of the data. So this is 25%. Whoop, this is 25%, 25% here, and 25% here. So when we're actually looking at this, we're looking a lot of times at this right here. Inside your box is 50% of your data, okay? And you know that the smaller this box is, the less spread out data is. So we use this a lot, the box and whisker plot, to check out or to look at the spread of the data. We can also look at a box and whisker plot for two different data sets and use the box and whisker plot to compare it. Okay, so here we have the next question, and it says an office worker has a choice of traveling to work by car or bus and has collected data giving the travel times from recent journeys using both of these types of transportation, which is the quickest to get them to work and which is the most reliable. So car travel times are here, bus travel times are here, and it says prepare parallel box plots for the data sets and use them to compare the two methods for quickness and reliability. So we want to get these two data sets on the same scale and look at the box plots and compare. So we're going to go back into Stat, and we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to this time put the data. I've already put it in just to save time. In this time, I'm putting it in L3 and L4. You can go ahead and you can put it clear L1 and L2 and put it in L1 and L2, or you can put it in L3 and L4 like I have. So you can stop the recording now and get your data in. Once your data is in, we want to turn our stat plot on. So we do that by going second, y equals, and this is where we're going to find stat plots, okay? So we're going to go to enter into stat plot 1. We want to turn it on, and then we want to go, get lots of messages here. We want to go down here, and we want to pick all these different types. There's a histogram. We want to pick this one for box plot. And then it's going to ask you which list do you want me to put in plot 1. Well, we know that I have put my data not in L1 this time, but I have put it in L3, right? So that's going to be and the frequency can be 1. That's going to be my first box plot. And then let's just go back and do y equals, and let's turn on our second plot. So we're going to turn on our second plot. We're going to enter to turn it on. We're going to go down here, and we are going to go through, and here is our box plot again. And if you remember, I put my data in L2 and L3. So this time, L3 and L4. So this time I'm going to have L4, and I am going to have 1 and enter. So we want to take a look at them. So let's graph them. And what do we see here? What does this mean? This means I have something in Y1 that I need to get rid of that's upplotting it as well. So I'm going to go and clear all these and go back and look at my graph. If you can't really see or the window is not really good, you can always do Zoom 9, which is Zoom statistics, and it will spread out the data so that it looks better, so you get a better view at it. Okay, so now we have our two box plots right here. And if we look at the top one, this data set right here is for cars. This is the one that we put into L3, and the bottom one is for bus. That's the one that we put into L4. So what if you want to see what these are? What's my min, what's my max, what's my Q1? You can always go to trace, and you can see right here that it lands on the median for this data set, and you can go up and down. This is my minimum for that data set. This is my Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and if you want to go down to the next one, you can also do that and go through them using trace. So let's actually answer the question here. It says, compare the two methods for quickness and reliability. So what we can do is we can say that you're always using it for the spread. So if you look at this one is more spread out, right? So this is my car. if you look at my bus, this box is smaller or more compact than that box is. So you can say, if you wanted to compare it, if you wanted to compare the two, that the bus is more consistent, right? It's not as spread out. Consistent. Nice writing. So now we can go through and we can also look at something like the median. Okay, so if you look at the medians between these two, the median of the bus is actually lower, right? Because this is the median here and that's the median there. So it is, the bus is also quicker, right? On average. So the bus is quicker. So we have the bus being quicker, but is that always necessarily true? No. Look at your cars. Your car is sometimes quicker because this is a slower time, but it's also sometimes much, much longer. So if you want to talk about quickness, this one could be quicker, but this one is more reliably quicker, right? Because it happens more often. And you can also say that it is more reliable. So the bus is quicker and more reliable because the data is not as reliable, because the data is not as spread. So that's a good look at how you compare two data sets and how you can get both box plots on the same scale. So hope this helps. You can practice now, and thanks for listening. Bye.